Hazara are Persian-speaking people who mainly live in central Afghanistan. They are overwhelmingly Twelver Shia Muslims and make up the third largest ethnic group in Afghanistan, forming about 9% of the total population. More than 650,000 Hazara may be found living in neighbouring Pakistan and an estimated 1 million in Iran. Etymology: Babar, the founder of the Mughal Empire in the early 16th century, records the name Hazara in Baburnama. He referred to the populace of a region called Hazarajat, located west of the Kabilistan region, north of Azar and southwest of Ghor. The conventional theory is that the word Hazara derives from the Persian word for thousand. It may be the translation of the Mongol word Ming, a military unit of 1,000 soldiers at the time of Genghis Khan. With time, the term Hazara could have been substituted for the Mongol word and now stands for the group of people. Origin theories. The origins of the Hazara have not been fully reconstructed. Significant inter-Asian descent in historical context Turkish and Mongolian, is impossible to rule out because the Hazara's physical attributes, facial bone structures and parts of their culture and language resemble those of Mongolians and Central Asian Turks. Thus, it is widely and popularly believed that Hazara have Mongolian ancestry. Genetic analysis of the Hazara indicate partial Mongolian ancestry. Most scholars consider the Hazara to be the descendants of the Mongol invaders. These Mongols later mixed with the earlier Persian-speaking Indo-Europeans who had long lived in the Hindu Kush of central Afghanistan, who also has previously Turkic background. This is supported by genetic research. Hazara history tells of their ancestors entering the region with the forces of Genghis Khan in the 13th century. The descendants of Mongol soldiers left to garrison the area became the Hazara nation. The theory accepted by most scholars, however, is that Hazara are a mixed group, consisting of native Iranian and Central Asian elements. For example, Nikyudari Mongols settled in what is now Afghanistan and mixed with native populations who spoke Persian. A second wave of mostly Chagatai Mongols came from Central Asia and were followed by other Mongolic groups, associated with the Ilkhanate and the Timurids, all of whom settled in Hazarajat and mixed with the local, mostly Persian-speaking population, forming a distinct group. Some Hazara tribes are named after famous Mongol generals, for example, the Tughlaq Khan Hazara, who are named after Tului, the youngest son of Genghis Khan. Some believe Hazara are descendants of Mongol soldiers and their Shia wives who settled in Bamiyan following the 1221 siege of Bamiyan. Theories of Mongol or partially Mongol descent are plausible, given that the Ilkhanate Mongol rulers, beginning with Uljuchu, embraced Shia Islam. Today, the majority of the Hazara adhere to Shia Islam, whereas Afghanistan's other major ethnic groups are mostly Sunni. However, the Sunni and Ismaili Hazara population, while existent, have not been extensively researched by scholars. Another popular theory proposes that Hazara are descendants of the Kushans, the ancient dwellers of Afghanistan who are believed to have built the Buddhas of Bamiyan. Its proponents find the location of the Hazara homeland, and the similarity in facial features of Hazara with those on frescoes and Buddha's statues in Bamiyan, suggestive. However, this belief is contrary not only to the fact that the Kushans were Tocharians, but also to historical records which mention that in a particularly bloody battle around Bamiyan, Genghis Khan's grandson, Mutujin, was killed, and he allegedly ordered Bamiyan to be destroyed in retribution. History. The first mention of Hazara are made by Babur in the early 16th century and later by the court historians of Shah Abbas of the Safavid dynasty. It is reported that they embraced Shia Islam between the end of the 16th and the beginning of the 17th century, during the Safavid period. Hazara men along with tribes of other ethnic groups had been recruited and added to the army of Ahmad Shah Durrani in the 18th century. Some claim that in the Middle-18th century Hazara were forced out of Helmand and the Arghandab district of Kandahar province. During the second reign of Dost Muhammad Khans in the 19th century, Hazara from Hazarajat began to be taxed for the first time. However, for the most part they still managed to keep their regional autonomy until the subjugation of Abdurrahman Khan began in the late 19th century. When the Treaty of Gandamak was signed and the Second Anglo-Afghan War ended in 1880, Abdul-Rahman Khan set out a goal to bring Hazarajat and Kavaristan under his control. He launched several campaigns in Hazarajat due to resistance from the Hazara, in which his forces committed atrocities. The southern part of Hazarajat was spared as they accepted his rule, while the other parts of Hazarajat rejected Abdul-Rahman and instead supported his uncle, Shah Ali Khan. In response to this, Abdul-Rahman waged a war against tribal leaders who rejected his policies and rule. Abdul-Rahman arrested Syed Jafar, chief of the Sheikh Ali Hazara tribe, and jailed him in Mazar-e-Sharif. First uprising. The first Hazara uprising against Abdul-Rahman Khan took place between 1888 and 1890. When Emir Abdul-Rahman's cousin, Muhammad Eshaq, revolted against him, tribal leaders of the Sheikh Ali Hazaras joined the revolt. The revolt was short-lived and crushed as the Emir extended his control over large parts of Hazarajat. Leaders of the Sheikh Ali Hazaras had allies in two different groups, Shia and Sunni. Abdul-Rahman took advantage of the situation, pitting Sunni Hazara against the Shia Hazara, and made pacts among the Hazara. After all of Sheikh Ali Hazara's chiefs were sent to Kabul, opposition within the leadership of Sawar Khan and Syed Jafar Khan continued against the government troops, but at last were defeated. Taxes were imposed and Afghan administrators were sent to occupied places, where they subjugated the people with abuses. People were disarmed, villages were looted, local tribal chiefs were imprisoned or executed, and the better lands were confiscated and given to Afghan nomads. Second uprising. The second uprising occurred in the spring of 1892. According to Syed Asghar Mousavi, the cause of the uprising was an assault on the wife of a Hazara chieftain by Afghan soldiers. The families of both the man and his wife, deciding that death was 100 times better than such humiliation, killed the soldiers involved and attacked the local garrison, from whence they recovered their confiscated arms. Several other tribal chiefs who supported Abdul-Rahman now turned against him and joined the rebellion, which rapidly spread through the entire Hazarajat. In response to the rebellion, the Emir declared a jihad against the Shias and raised an army of up to 40 €0 soldiers, 10 €0 mounted troops, and 100,000 armed civilians. He also brought in British military advisors to assist his army. The large army defeated the rebellion at its center, in Uruzgan, by 1892, and the local population was displaced, with some being massacred. Thousands of Hazara men, women, and children were sold as slaves in the markets of Kabul and Kandahar, while numerous towers of human heads were made from the defeated rebels as a warning to others who might challenge the rule of the Emir. Third uprising. The third uprising of Hazara was in response to the harsh repression. The Hazara revolted again by early 1893. This revolt took the government forces by surprise and the Hazara managed to take most of Hazarajat back. However, after months of fighting, they were eventually defeated due to a shortage of food. Small pockets of resistance continued to the end of the year as government troops committed atrocities against civilians and deported entire villages. Abdul-Rahman's subjugation of the Hazara due to fierce rebellion against the Afghan king gave birth to strong hatred between the Pashtun and Hazara for years to come. Massive forced displacements, especially in Uruzgan and Dakopan, continued as lands were confiscated and populations were expelled or fled. Some 35,000 families fled to northern Afghanistan, Mashhad and Quetta. It is estimated that more than 60% of the Hazara population were massacred or displaced during Abdul-Rahman's campaign against them. Hazara farmers were often forced to give up their property to Pashtuns, and as a result many Hazara families had to leave seasonally to the major cities in Afghanistan, Iran, or Pakistan in order to find jobs and a source of income. Quetta in Pakistan is home to the third largest settlements of Hazara outside Afghanistan. 20th century. In 1901, Habibullah Khan, Abdul-Rahman's successor, granted amnesty to all people who were exiled by his predecessor. However, the division between the Afghan government and the Hazara people was already made too deep under Abdul-Rahman. Hazara continued to face severe social, economic and political discrimination through most of the 20th century. In 1933, King Muhammad Nadir Khan was assassinated by Abdul Khalik Hazara. The Afghan government captured and executed him later, along with several of his innocent family members. Mistrust of the central government by the Hazaras and local uprisings continued. In particular, in the 1940s, during Zahir Shah's rule, a revolt took place against new taxes that were exclusively imposed on the Hazara. The Kutchi nomads meanwhile not only were exempted from taxes, but also received allowances from the Afghan government. The angry rebels began capturing and killing government officials. In response, the central government sent a force to subdue the region and later removed the taxes. During the Soviet war in Afghanistan, the Hazarajat region did not see as much heavy fighting as other regions of Afghanistan. However, rival Hazara political factions fought. The division was between the Tanza-e Hazara, a party based in Quetta, of Hazara nationalists and secular intellectuals, and the pro-Khomeini Islamist parties backed by the new Islamic Republic of Iran. By 1979, the Iran-backed Islamist groups liberated Hazarajat from the Central Soviet-backed Afghan government and later took entire control of Hazarajat away from the secularists. By 1984, after severe fighting, the secularist groups lost all their power to the Islamists. As the Soviets withdrew in 1989, the Islamist groups felt the need to broaden their political appeal and turned their focus to Hazara ethnic nationalism. This led to establishment of the Hezb-e-Wadat, an alliance of all the Hazara resistance groups. In 1992, with the fall of Kabul, the Harakat-e-Islami took sides with Burhanuddin Rabbani's government while the Hezb-e-Wadat took sides with the opposition. The Hezb-e-Wadat was eventually forced out of Kabul in 1995 when the Taliban movement captured and killed their leader Abdul Ali Mazari. With the Taliban's capture of Kabul in 1996, all the Hazara groups united with the new Northern Alliance against the common new enemy. However, it was too late, and despite the fierce resistance, Hazarajat fell to the Taliban by 1998. The Taliban had Hazarajat totally isolated from the rest of the world, going as far as not allowing the United Nations to deliver food to the provinces of Bamiyan, Ghor, Wardak, and Dakandi. Though Hazara played a role in the anti-Soviet movement, other Hazara participated in the new communist government, which actively courted Afghan minorities. Sultan Ali Kishtmand, a Hazara, served as Prime Minister of Afghanistan from 1981 to 1990. The Ismaili Hazara of Balan province likewise supported the communists, and their Pajafar Nadari led a pro-communist militia in the region. During the years that followed, Hazara suffered severe oppression and many ethnic massacres, genocides and pogroms were carried out by the predominantly ethnic Pashtun Taliban and are documented by such groups the Human Rights Watch. These human rights abuses not only occurred in Hazarajat, but across all districts controlled by the Taliban. Particularly after their capture of Mazar-e-Sharif in 1998, where after a massive killing of some 8,000 civilians, the Taliban openly declared that the Hazara would be targeted. 21st century. Following the 11th September 2001 attacks in the United States, British and American forces invaded Afghanistan. Many Hazara have become leaders in today's newly emerging Afghanistan. Hazara have also pursued higher education, enrolled in the army, and many have top government positions. For example, Muhammad Mohaqiq, a Hazara from the Hezb-e-Wadat party, was able to run in the 2004 presidential election in Afghanistan, and Karim Khalilai became the vice president of Afghanistan. A number of ministers and governors are Hazara, including Sima Samar, Habiba Sarabi, Zawad Danish, Syed Hussein Anwari, Abdul Haq Shafaq, Syed Anwar Rahmati, Kurban Ali Orozgani and many others. The mayor of Nilai in Dakandi province is Azra Jafari, who became the first female mayor in Afghanistan. The National Assembly of Afghanistan is 25% made up of ethnic Hazara, which represents 61 members. Although Afghanistan has been historically one of the poorest countries in the world, the Hazarajat region has been kept even more poor from development by past governments. Since ousting the Taliban in late 2001, billions of dollars have poured into Afghanistan for reconstruction, and several mega-scale reconstruction projects took place in Afghanistan from August 2012. For example, There have been more than 5,000 kilometers of road pavement completed across Afghanistan, of which little was done in central Afghanistan Hazarajat. On the other hand, the Bandi Amir in the Bamiyan province became the first national park of Afghanistan. The road from Kabul to Bamiyan was also built, along with new police stations, government institutions, hospitals, and schools in the Bamiyan province, Dakhandi province, and the others. The first ski resort of Afghanistan was also established in Bamiyan province. An indication of discrimination is that Kuchis are allowed to use Hazarajat pastures during the summer season. It is believed that allowing the Kuchis to use some of the grazing land in Hazarajat began during the rule of Abdul Rahman Khan. Living in mountainous Hazarajat, where little farmland exists, Hazara people rely on these pasture lands for their livelihood during the long and harsh winters. In 2007 some Kuchi nomads entered into parts of Hazarajat to graze their livestock, and when the local Hazara resisted, a clash took place and several people on both sides died using assault rifles. Such events continued to occur, even after the central government was forced to intervene, including President Hamid Karzai. In late July 2012, a Hazara police commander in Uruzgan province reportedly rounded up and killed 9 Pashtun civilians in revenge for the death of 2 local Hazara. The matter is being investigated by the Afghan government. The recent drive by President Hamid Karzai after the peace Gurgata striker deal with Taliban leaders caused deep unease in Afghanistan's minority communities, who fought the Taliban the longest and suffered the most during their rule. The leaders of the Tajik, Uzbek and Hazara communities, which together make up close to half of the country's population, vowed to resist any return of the Taliban to power, referring to the large-scale massacres of Hazara civilians during the Taliban period. Genetically, the Hazara are primarily Eastern Eurasian with Western Eurasian genetic mixtures. While it has been found that at least third to half of their chromosomes are of East Asian origin, PCA places them between East Asia and Caucasus Middle East Europe clusters. Genetic research suggests that the Hazaras of Afghanistan cluster closely with the Uzbek population of the country, while both groups are at a notable distance from Afghanistan's Tajik and Pashtun populations. There is evidence of both a patrimonial and maternal relation to Mongol peoples of Mongolia. Mongol male and female ancestry is supported by studies in genetic genealogy as well, which have identified a particular lineage of the R chromosome characteristic of people of Mongolian descent. This chromosome is virtually absent outside the limits of the Mongol Empire except among the Hazara, where it reaches its highest frequency anywhere. These results indicate that the Hazara are also characterized by very high frequencies of Eastern Eurasian mtDNAs at 35%, which are virtually absent from bordering populations, suggesting that the male descendants of Genghis Khan, or other Mongols, were accompanied by women of East Asian ancestry. Women of non-Eastern Eurasian mtDNA in Hazaras are at 65%, most which are West Eurasians and some South Asian. A1B1A1 is defined by the presence of SNP marker M73. It has been found at generally low frequencies throughout Central Eurasia, but has been found with relatively high frequency among particular populations there including Pakistani Hazaras. However, the most frequent paternal haplogroup type found amongst the Hazaras in the same study was haplogroup CM217 at 40%, 10/25, with haplogroup O3 at 8%, both which are Eastern Eurasian males ancestry associated with the Mongols and Kazakhs. Geographic distribution: the vast majority of Hazaras live in central Afghanistan, and significant numbers are also found in major cities and towns. Many Hazara men leave Hazarajat to work in cities, including in neighbouring countries or abroad. The latest World Factbook estimates show that Hazara make up 9% of the total Afghan population, but some sources claim that they are about 20%. However, they fail to cite a reference. In the 1970s, they were estimated by Louis Dupré at approximately 1 million. Diaspora. Alessandro Monsotti argues, in his recent anthropological book, that migration is the traditional way of life of the Hazara people, referring to the seasonal and historical migrations which have never ceased and do not seem to be dictated only by emergency situations such as war. Due to the decades of war in Afghanistan and the sectarian violence in Pakistan, many Hazaras left their communities and have settled in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom and particularly the northern European countries such as Sweden and Denmark. Some go to these countries as exchange students while others through human smuggling, which sometimes cost them their lives. Since 2001, about 1,000 people have died in the ocean while trying to reach Australia by boats from Indonesia. Many of these were Hazaras, including women and small children who could not swim. The notable case was the Tampa affair in which a shipload of refugees, mostly Hazara, was rescued by the Norwegian freighter MV Tampa and subsequently sent to Nauru. New Zealand agreed to take some of the refugees and all but one of those were granted stay. Pakistani Hazaras. During the British expansion in the 19th century, Hazaras worked during the winter months in coal mines, road construction and in other menial labor jobs in some cities of what is now Pakistan. The earliest record of Hazara in the areas of Pakistan is found in Broadfoot Sappers Company from 1835 in Quetta. This company had also participated in the First Anglo-Afghan War. Some Hazara also worked in the agriculture farms in Sindh and construction of Sukkur Barrage. Haider Ali Kamal Jaghori was a prominent political thinker of the Hazara people in Pakistan, writing about the political history of Hazara people. His work Hazara wa Hazarajat Bastan Darena-e Tariq was published in Quetta in 1992, and another work by Aziz Tughian Hazara Tariq Milli Hazara was published in 1984 in Quetta. Most Pakistani Hazaras today live in the city of Quetta, in Balochistan, Pakistan. Localities in the city of Quetta with prominent Hazara populations include Hazara Town and Murabad, and Hazara tribes such as the Sada are exclusively Pakistani. Literacy level among the Hazara community in Pakistan is relatively high compared to the Hazaras of Afghanistan, and they have integrated well into the social dynamics of the local society. Saira Batal, a Hazara woman, was one of the first female pilots in Pakistan Air Force. Other notable Hazara include Qazi Muhammad Isa, General Muhammad Musa, who served as Commander-in-Chief of the Pakistani Army from 1958 to 1968, Air Marshal Sarbat Ali Changizi, Hussain Ali Yusufi, the slain chairman of the Hazara Democratic Party, Syed Nasir Ali Shah, MNA from Quetta, and his father Haji Syed Hussain Hazara, who was a senator and member of Mali Shura during the Zia-ul-Haq era. Aga Abbas and his son Aga Ulam Ali, owners of Aga Juice, a famous fruit juice outlet in the country since 1960, who were murdered in May 2002 and January 2007. Despite all of this, Hazaras are often targeted by militant groups such as the Lashkar-e-Janvi and others. Activists say at least 800 to 1,000 Hazaras have been killed since 1999 and the pace is quickening. More than 100 have been murdered in and around Quetta since January, according to Human Rights Watch. The political representation of the community is served by Hazara Democratic Party, a secular liberal democratic party, headed by Abdul Khaliq Hazara. Hazara in Iran. Over the many years as a result of political unrest in Afghanistan, some Hazaras have migrated to Iran. They have complained of discrimination in Iran. In March 2011, Eurasia Daily Monitor reported that representatives of Hazara community in Iran have asked Mongolia to intervene in supporting their case with Iranian government and prevent Iranian forced repatriation to Afghanistan. Culture. The Hazara, outside of Hazarajat, have adopted the cultures of the cities where they dwell, and in many cases are quite Persianized, resembling customs and traditions of the Afghan Tajiks. Traditionally the Hazara are highland farmers, and although sedentary like the Tajiks, in the Hazarajat, they have retained many of their own customs and traditions, some of which are more closely related to those of Central Asia than to those of the Afghan Tajiks. For instance, many Hazara musicians are widely hailed as being skilled in playing the dambura, a regional and native instrument, a lute instrument similarly found in other Central Asian nations such as Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. The Hazara live in houses rather than tents. Amak people in tents rather than houses. Food and cuisine. Language. Hazara living in rural areas speak Hazaragi, a dialect of Persian language of Afghanistan, with a significant number of Mongolic loanwords. Many of the urban Hazara in the larger cities such as Kabul and Mazar-e-Sharif no longer speak Hazaragi but speak standard literary Persian or other regional varieties of Persian. Until recently, a very small number of Hazara near Herat still spoke the Mughal language, a Mongolic language once spoken by rebels against the Mongol armies of the Khanate. Religion. Hazara are predominantly Shia Muslims, mostly of the Twelver sect and some Ismaili. Since the majority of Afghans practice Sunni Islam, this may have contributed to the discrimination against the Hazara. Hazara probably converted Shi'ism during the first part of the 16th century, in the early days of the Safavid dynasty. Nonetheless, a small number of Hazara are Sunni, such as the Amak Hazaras. Sunni Hazara have been attached to non-Hazara tribes, while the Ismaili Hazara have always been kept separate from the rest of the Hazara on account of religious beliefs and political purposes. Hazara tribes. The Hazara people have been organized by various tribes. The Dawizangi are the largest tribe, representing 57.2% of the Hazara population. However, more recently and since the inclusion of the Hazara into the Afghan state, tribal affiliations have been disappearing and former tribal names Sheikh Ali, Jagori, Ghaznisi, Behzad, Arizgani, and Dawizangi are also disappearing. The different Hazara tribes come from regions such as Parwan, Bamiyan, and Azi. Sports. Many Hazara are engaged in different sports. Rahalanik Pai won a bronze medal in Taekwondo in the Beijing Olympics 2008. Beating world champion Juan Antonio Ramos of Spain for a Euro 1 in a playoff final. It was Afghanistan's first ever Olympic medal. He then won a second Olympic medal for Afghanistan in the London 2012 Games. Afghanistan's first female Olympic athlete Fariba Razai competed in judo at the 2004 Athens Olympics, but was eliminated in the first round of competition. Other famous Hazara athletes are Syed Abdul Jalal and Ali Hazara. Syed Abdul Jalal was the first ever badminton player representing Afghanistan in Asian Junior Championships in 2005 where he produced the first win for his country against Iraq, with 15-13, 15-1. He participated in several international championships since 2005 and achieved victories against Australia, Philippines and Mongolia. Hamid Rahmi is a new boxer from Afghanistan and lives in Germany. A Pakistani Hazara named Syed Abrar Hussain Shah, a former Olympic boxer, served as Deputy Director General of the Pakistan Sports Board. Shah represented Pakistan 3 times at the Olympics and won a gold medal at the 1990 Asian Games in Beijing. Some Hazara from Pakistan have also excelled in sports and have received numerous awards, particularly in boxing, football and in field hockey. Qayyum Changizi, a legendary Pakistani football player, was a Hazara. New Hazara youngsters are seen to appear in many sports in Pakistan, including boys and girls from Hazara Town and Murabad. Rajab Ali Hazara, who is leading under-16 Pakistan football team as captain, and many other youngsters representing Hazaras in sports in Pakistan. Gallery. Notable people. See also: Poems for the Hazara, ethnic groups in Afghanistan, Amak people, Hazara town, Hazaragi dialect, Hezberadat, Iranian peoples, Murabad Alamda Road, Mongols, Muslim Mongols, Nikyudari, Tajiks, Notes and References. Further reading: Monsutti, Alessandro. War and Migration, Social Networks and Economic Strategies of the Hazaras of Afghanistan. Routledge, New York, Routledge. ISBN A0-415-97508-5, Mousavi, Syed Asghar, 1997. The Hazaras of Afghanistan, An Historical, Cultural, Economic and Political Study. Richmond, New York, Street Martin's Press. ISBN A0-312-17386-5, Frederickson, Berth. Nicolaisen, Ida. Caravans and Trade in Afghanistan, The Changing Life of the Nomadic Hazabus. Carlsberg Foundation's Nomad Research Project. London, Thames and Hudson. ISBN A0-500-01687-9. Paladi, Hussein. The Hazāras. Stockton, California, Mughal Publishing Company. ISBN A0-929824-00-8. Kakar, Emma Hussein. The Pacification of the Hazaras of Afghanistan. New York, Afghanistan Council, Asia Society. OCLCA 1111643. Mousavi, Syedaskr. The Hazaras of Afghanistan. Streeter Martins Press. ISBN A0-312-17386-5. ISBN 9780312173869. Harpviken, Christian Berg. Political Mobilization Among the Hazara of Afghanistan, 1978–1992. Rapport Serienved Sociology, NR 9 1996. Oslo, Institut for Sociology, Universitetet i Oslo. ISBN AA2-570-0127-9. SH Ali and Emma S. Javed. Helping the Hazara of Afghanistan and Pakistan. National Geographic Newswatcher. External links: Hazara People International Network, Hazara Tribal Structure, Program for Culture and Conflict Studies, U.S. Naval Postgraduate School, The Outsiders, Afghanistan's Hazaras. National Geographic, Ethnologue.com's entry on Hazaraji.